into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Well, hello, Earthers, Belters, and Dusters. Welcome back to another amazing AFTERBUZZ TV after show for your favorite show, The Expanse. And we're talking about Season 1, Episode 7, Windmills.
Yes.
I am your host, Sean Overman, and you guys can find me at Sean Austino on Twitter and Instagram. I'm joined here by my two lovely co-hosts as usual.
Oh, thank you. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Twitter and Instagram, Kari D. Lane, and Facebook, Kari Lane Actor.
And I'm Maria Cavassuto, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MGCVSST.
Bringing back the smoky voice.
Bringing back the smoky voice.
Yes.
Trying,
yes. Oh man, this is another good episode. A little bit weaker than some. You know, we've had some crazy stuff. We have had crazy like zero-G battles. This one, it was more of a tense episode. A lot of standoff.
a lot of story building, like backstory, kind of getting a good look into people as well. Especially, obviously, Holden. But.
Holden, yeah, we got to learn about his past via Avasarala. I always get her name wrong. Christian.
Yeah, Christian.
Which
Avasarala.
I was thinking that's an interesting name choice for her.
Yes.
And how they spell it too, because we're watching it with subtitles. Make sure we understand it.
I know.
But with like the J, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, I like it. I wonder if Christian has any connection to, maybe it's like, I think her character's Indian, right? So is that like the Christian, but for in the Indian culture?
Yeah, I'm curious. And then I also noticed on the subway it had the English, and then they said in Hindi, which I'm like, that's an interesting language choice because it's not any of like the Belter languages or something else. So it's like out of all the languages, and I don't think there's been any other characters that spoke Hindi specifically. So I was like,
So, yeah, that actually brings me to Miller. So Miller was recording. That's where we start off the episode. He's recording a message for Jules Mao, which is Julie Mao's father, Jules Pierre Mao.
Yep.
And he's saying it in English, but it's being translated into Hindi?
No, the subway. The subway car is like their announcement goes in English, and then it says in Hindi, and it does this announcement again. Like, we are at this station.
Okay.
I don't know how to say that, but
Gotcha.
That was interesting. Just the machines itself, like that's the language of the people. Like,
yes.
You know, like Disneyland, they're gonna say it in English and Spanish, and you know a couple like other things. So just
maybe
interesting choice.
That is really interesting. Maybe in that area of
might be that
series.
District, that town.
That area of
little
series.
India.
It's like a little India, perhaps.
Maybe.
Oh, that's cool. A little Bali, maybe. Right on. Let's see. Let's go ahead.
The question also, was his message a direct send, or was it just record and then you'll save it later?
Yeah,
you know
I
what?
couldn't
like, was
tell.
it an email where you click send and you're like, oh,
I was confused by it, actually, because he did it so quickly. It did sound really, it did sound kind of sad. It sounded like he was going to off himself, which later in the episode, Octavia brings up. Mm-hmm. So did he send it to her to send it to Jules Pierre Mao?
It had
I
his
think
name.
he sent it to Mao, yeah.
But then how did Octavia get a hold of it?
She probably, no, she said, I think he said something else to her.
He said,
he sent a cryptic message to her, but I don't think we saw that message.
Okay, so we didn't get to see him do that. No. Okay, all right, that makes a little bit more sense to me. So we see that he's obviously going rogue now. He has no authority, no Star Helix badge on him anymore. Mm-hmm. But he's pissed. He wants to find out what is going on. Yep. The first place he goes is Anderson Dawes. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bar. Or the lounge place.
Yeah, the Belter Lounge.
It's like, you're gonna kick my ass in front of all these people? Come on, let's go now.
Yeah, he's got some major cojones to go in there.
Yeah, and he looks like he's a little drunk just throughout the beginning of the episode.
Oh, no, I don't think he's drunk.
Really?
I really don't think he's drank anything.
I totally thought he did.
Or he's hit so much rock bottom that he's just like, I don't give a...
Well, just the way he storms into Julie Mao's apartment at some point, he
Yeah.
totally
I think he was
looks
frustrated there.
I totally thought he was drunk.
And
Well-
goodbye hat.
Yeah, goodbye hat. See, okay, like Julie Mao's apartment, he stormed in there because he has no authority to get in anymore. He burst in there. He had to break down the door,
the way he was
right?
walking when he went in there, it kind of looked like he's a little bit off.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that he's obviously like,
Maybe he goes there intoxicated, but by the time he gets to Dawes,
maybe
he's just
He's mellowed
buzzed.
out. What happened first? Was it...
he goes to Dawes first.
He goes to Dawes first. Okay. Oh, yeah, so maybe he did get drunk.
Yeah.
Because he said the drinks are on me. He pours him a drink. I'm like,
True.
and he hasn't
Yeah.
been drinking, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, why not? You've been fired. I mean,
Yeah.
and at this point, you're solo.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But he actually has a really good conversation with Dawes, and Dawes says, he ends up saying, like, he spins everything.
Dawes is just like such a manipulator, first of all, and
yes.
he's just so good with words. Every time he's talking, I'm like, bro, like, I get you. Like, I get this.
Yeah.
It like makes sense, bro.
I'm
Like,
the patron saint of like lost causes, and
Yeah.
I think I just found another one. You're like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't fighting against you. I was fighting for you. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
He's
You
such-
tried to kill
I know,
him.
he's such a manipulator.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So he says not only that, but he says some other key things to Miller that push him in the right direction, which is good,
Yes.
for the plot, for the story, and for him actually to solve the problem. And I liked how Miller said, well, the last thing I was thinking when I was about to be shoved out that airlock was he was like, I am very, very touched. Right?
The things you think about at the end are the most important. And you're like,
Yeah.
that was not supposed to be his accent, by the way.
It was a good try, though. I liked it. I
was
like
good.
Carrie's interpretation.
That's when he's drunk. But yeah, and then Miller's like, no.
Totally denying
Yeah.
it. It's all the spin that Dawes has. That's how he's able to be
Yeah.
in the head of that OPA faction, is because he can manipulate, just like you said, everybody.
He's the
Yeah.
puppet master. I mean,
Yeah.
he's totally the...
Pulling those strings.
Yeah,
Look
totally.
at it in that bar. He just has total control over the whole crowd.
Yes.
Dozens of people in there. Even that one riotous speech guy is there too.
I saw him, he motioned the tipping the hat to Miller, and
Actually,
I was like, oh, look.
actually, it was the FU.
Oh, was the FU?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like I think it's two fingers, and then when they salute like that in Belter, that means FU, dude.
Okay, because I remember what was it, Cass, that was telling us that like the 3 sign like this is the FU.
It could be, or maybe he was doing 3 up
I
here,
don't know.
and then he
I
kind
know
of
Naomi
went like
did
that.
but
I'm afraid I actually didn't even notice him. I was looking at all the other people.
Yeah, I
but
saw
yeah,
him.
he
but-
does something, some sort of acknowledgement, whether it's a FU or a
I'm
hey
going
dude.
with FU.
Yeah.
Or FU, welcome to our club. Because,
Yeah,
he's
welcome.
not
'Cause we're
hired
gonna-
Welcome,
anymore.
bitch.
We're gonna hurt you now, and
Yes.
they did not succeed at that. But then Dawes says, hey, you know what, you have to lose everything in order to be guided to what you really need in
That's
your
what
journey.
I'm saying. I'm like, bro, your wisdom, I get it. Like,
So there was a lot of the name of the episode was Windmills, so we have a lot of allusions to windmills. I feel like this conversation is Miller going against his giants, right?
Yeah.
He's tilting at windmills here. So what
Yeah.
do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Maria?
I mean, they use references to Cervantes' Don Quixote like many times in this series, Rocinante being one of them. But then the windmills is a key part of that story, where Don Quixote is kind of like fighting these giant windmills that are not anything, but he sees them as these giants, and he's like on this huge quest and whatnot. But they're like fictional. I mean, they're not real. It's part of his kind of like craziness that he goes through. So it's kind of funny that they have that in this story, and that this one's called Windmills. But we also saw the windmills in Montana.
Yes, we did. So we saw physical windmills in Montana in Avasarala's storyline, which was really fascinating. But let's talk more about Miller before we move on to her and Holden. So he goes into Julie Mao's place, busts in there, right?
Yes.
And clearly we didn't get to see him drink, but he looks like he could be intoxicated. He is fumbling through everything. He's literally going rogue, like just throwing all the crap in her apartment around. And they actually call them holes, by the way, because I've been reading the book. So they don't call them apartments or even quarters. They call them holes.
Let me tell you
Well, it's
that
like a hole in the wall, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, hole also sounds kind of a little bit negative, and those apartments are like super nice.
I was gonna say her
It did.
apartment's really nice. At
Yeah,
least.
and his is not bad.
Yeah, his isn't bad either. But even with his own apartment in the book, Miller calls it a hole as well. So just a little book stuff there.
I mean, they're living on an asteroid, okay? Like, it's
Yeah.
probably not great.
there we
Yeah.
go. Everything looked like it was IKEA, though, in there.
Everything's like hidden, and you just press, and it like pops out.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
it.
even the very subtle like coat / hat hanger there. It's just like a little nub in there. It's like that's an IKEA.
Yeah, I didn't even
thing.
see it, and he like, you know, when he throws
It's the
it,
way
I
of
was
the
like,
future.
Yeah.
IKEA knows what's up.
Well, it's series. They have to budget, right? So,
Yeah.
but he finds out through a message, and it's great because the only reason why he's there is he's trying to find intel, right? But he can't
Yeah.
find anything because he already looked through that place. He
Yes.
just ends up taking her necklace, and thankfully he gets a message from his comrade, some guy who works on Eros, and he tells him that the Anubis shuttle, not the Anubis ship, but Anubis 1A shuttle, is docked there at Eros, racking up docking fees. So someone survived. Someone got off the Scopuli Anubis, whatever ship it was, you know, and they're there now. This mystery ship that he's been thinking about, charting maps for,
Yep.
he knows it's there.
Yeah. So then all his intentions, all his actions, everything is like, I gotta get to Eros. Like, that is the plan now.
He's on now he finally has a course of
Yeah.
where he should go and what
Yeah.
he should do instead of just this like, I don't know what to do and I'm just gonna destroy stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like he reached one end of his journey, and now he's like, I'm not gonna fight these giants here. Who, you know, these people, the OPA people, they're nothing. There's something bigger than them. There's some like they're an illusion. There's got to be something out there that is my real goal, and therefore he ends up packing up all his gambling chips. Right?
Yeah, I thought that was money, but I guess you have to
Yeah.
cash that in. I guess it's some sort of like placeholder. But I don't know if they're like gambling chips because he just cashed it out at some random place.
Well,
So I was
someone
like,
said you've been lucky or a long losing streak. They said some kind of line that
Something
implied
so it
sounded
makes-
like a
okay.
casino.
Oh, okay. So it could be, or I don't know. Yeah, I did when we first saw it. The first
Yeah.
episode we talked about it. We were like, oh, they have plastic money on series, but who knows? Maybe
Or
they were
maybe it's
gambling
like a
chips.
weird mix between gambling / that is like how the banking system is there.
Maybe. Maybe I need to read more into the book to see what their currency is like on series. But then
It's money.
It's
he gets
money.
His money.
It's a lot of
as
stuff.
as long as it, you know, gets you to and from, you know.
Yeah.
He holds onto the necklace, of course. He doesn't give that up, even though the guy would have bought it from him. But before he heads to Eros, he encounters Octavia, and she's like, "What are you doing? Like, where are you going?" "Oh, I'm gonna go see the sights over on Eros."
And he's like, she's like, it's a garbage dump. What are you talking about? Like, you know, she's like, dude, come on, like, let me help you.
Yeah.
And she's trying so hard. She's being so nice. And it's like,
And he just keeps shutting her down. It's so
Yeah.
disappointing. I'm like, bro,
She's
let her
been
in.
He's saving her, though, in a weird way.
In a way, yeah, in a way. I
It's
think so.
dangerous. Don't join me.
Yeah, don't join me. You can't come on this journey.
Yeah.
she's so sweet to him, and she's obviously still in love with him. They had a past romance.
Did you guys notice that when she sees, like, you know, he says the thing about, like, oh, bad timing, like always, because he, like, I don't know if they briefly hold hands or what, but then she sees that he has the necklace in his hands. So it's kind of like there's this moment of recognition in her where it's like, ugh, that Julie Mao kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, a little bit of, like, hurt, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's
It's like he's cheating, but not even doing
yeah, but not
anything.
even, but it's kind of like her saying, like, unless this is over, like, there's just gonna be a wall on him, like, over him. So it's kind of an interesting it's a small moment, but, you know, he says bad timing like usual, like that kind of got in the way.
Yeah, I did recognize that scene or that shot, and it was a really cool, like, metaphor of, like, Julie Mao's, like, even though she's not there, she's a total MacGuffin. She hasn't showed up since the first few minutes of the first episode.
Yeah.
She
And
could totally be, like, frozen in, like, the middle of space, and these people have, like, no idea, and he's just, like, keeps looking for her. I'm like, oh, God.
he is seriously in love with her, this girl that he's been trying to find.
But it's like, that is that really
And
what
then
it
he's
is?
gonna
You
meet
guys
her, and
think
she's
that?
gonna like shoot him down. She'll be like, "No,
Out of my face.
Yes.
we're not hanging out."
That's
ever.
exactly what's gonna happen.
Do you guys really
She'll be
think
like,
that...
"Stalker."
Do you guys really think that he's in love with her, or do you
Yes.
think he's just, like, obsessed with, like, this kind of
I
mission?
feel he's obsessed with the puzzle of it,
Yeah, I
and
feel
I
like
feel he hasn't had anything is exciting, it's interesting. So he's in love in that way because this mission has made him feel more alive than he's felt in a long time.
I think that's a good book because I don't know if I think that he's in love with her. Although sometimes it feels like he is, but other times I'm like, it's just a picture. Yeah, maybe.
He's lustful after her, but it's because of the way she makes him feel. Maybe he's confusing it for like, she's making me feel like I don't need alcohol, I don't need drugs or anything else. She's my goal, so maybe that's why he identifies it as love. But once he gets to that goal, it's not going to be anything that he thought it was.
Yeah.
Frozen in space. Just saying.
Or obliterated by that weapon, whatever it is.
Yeah, that blue thing, the mud.
Or she'll be like, no, you're not my type.
Floating mud. Yeah, because she's a rich girl, right? Yeah. A rich girl from Earth or Luna, wherever she's from.
We don't even know if she likes men.
No, we don't.
We don't know anything.
About her.
I mean, we know that she likes men, but we don't know exactly like if she likes maybe women too, because she did have that lover, so she's got to be into men at some point, like to some extent. Sorry.
Yeah, that guy that Miller interviewed.
Yeah.
And that's how we got the picture, pretty much. Let's see. Let's talk about Holden. So they, on the ship, on the Rocinante, they're flying out there. They're getting their space legs with the ship, and they realize that there's a signal coming from somewhere between the hulls of the ship. So there's like the inner hull and the outer hull, right? Where I'm sure like there's an air gap, right, to keep it insulated or whatever. So we have Amos go out there, and he finds somebody on board who they don't expect.
I had a moment where I'm like, maybe it's going to be Julie. I didn't think so, but I was like, maybe that'd be a really interesting random plot twist. Surprise, she's on your ship.
For me, I was like, oh, I thought it was Fred Johnson maybe pulling a fast one on them, being like, oh, surprise, this actually has a tracker. Welcome to the space, guys. Like, that's what I thought. But then it ends up being the spy.
And his name is Kenzo. I think they really briefly mentioned his name.
Yeah, Kenzo.
It's Kenzo, and he does say who he's working for, and it's that guy, I think Carlos Davila from the previous episode, who Christian was like pressuring and saying like, hey, you have to tell me you're a spy. I need to get access to him.
Now, did you guys notice when later Holden sees his eyes? I wonder if the eye effect is just for us, the audience benefit, because I felt it was something I can't tell if other people can see it, because if you can, it'd be a stupid idea to turn it on when Holden's standing right there looking him in the eye.
Yeah.
And then it's like bloop bloop bloop.
I think it would be.
I feel it's maybe just for our benefit to know like it turned on and it hit record.
I think it is for the audience benefit, but I could see that being like one of the Rossi crew gets close to him and they see something in his eye and they're like
maybe
what the
they're
hell is
far
this?
enough that and it's shadowed, so maybe Holden's just like, oh, it's just a trick of the light.
But I mean, at that point they already know he's a spy. It's just, I guess they wouldn't know to what extent.
Yeah.
He's like involved or like
how
what he's
common
doing.
is eye camera, you know.
He does say that he was on Tycho stealing codes and technology. I'm wondering, what kind of technology are you stealing? Maybe stealth technology?
Maybe. Tied back into that earlier.
Yeah. So we really don't know. But he thought they were heading to Eros to find to find Lionel Polanski, and they say to him right away, like, we're not heading to Eros. Where do you think we're going? We're not going there. It said so. They were charting their course to go there, but they're supposed to be going to Lionel Polanski,
right?
Who is and he's at some other asteroid. I don't think he's on Eros, but I want to say it is near Eros, maybe like that particular asteroid, because in the teasers we see that they meet up with Miller. And Miller charted a course to Eros, charted a ship to go to Eros.
Maybe that's like the docking station, and they go from there.
Yeah, maybe it
like
could
that'd be a main hub, you know, like that's the big city, so you go there first before you go elsewhere.
It could be, very well could be, but they end up putting Kenzo in the airlock because they keep. Because
that's what you do.
They keep telling him to shut up, and he won't shut up.
Yeah, that was something so annoying. If I felt I had vital information, constantly he's like, "I can help you. I can do a thing. I can do a thing," and then it's like, "Then why don't you just say it?" Oh my gosh, that would have solved all the problems.
I know, but I think he's just trying to get them to bite, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, totally. But it was one of those. But if
it's
he
like, just
really
tell me then.
wanted to help, they're kind of like, say it, just say it.
He's trying to drive a bargain with them. He wants something in return for his information, but everybody's just shutting him out, especially because they have the Mickey Patrol, the Martians are coming to intercept them. They have a barge, a two-man barge, coming to dock with their ship and do an inspection. The AO-66, which is the same thing they did to Uncle Mateo's ship last time, which is a bad thing. They're going to impound it.
Probably, yeah, exactly. I wouldn't... Not good.
No.
Not a good idea. I mean...
But then,
what happens? What happens after that? They say they're going to do the AO-66, and then
the spy finally has useful information.
Oh,
yeah,
they all start freaking out.
That's right. He has to pee so bad. They don't let him go. They still lock him into that chair.
I gotta pee.
I've been having to pee for like 2 hours, man.
I was just saying, look, if it's really that bad, you're just in the corner, bro. Like, you know.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, just, you know, you guys can whip it out and do it. Okay, I'm just saying.
If
it's easy.
Amos-
It'd be gross, but it would smell and bother everyone else. Just pee your pants.
Yeah.
But that's uncomfortable for us. Like, that would be uncomfortable to walk around.
No, and it would be a bother, but it's like, well, fine, guys. I'm just gonna...
Oh, yeah. I just meant when he was in the holding cell. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That actually was in the airlock. And you know what would have been funny
exactly.
is if he started to evacuate some of the air, and then he had to pee, and the pee would go everywhere within the airlock.
Real pleasant right there.
G.
Yeah, very moist.
That would have been so funny.
Computer messing around stuff.
Yeah.
The wall panel thing.
So those eye things he's got, those implants or contacts, whatever he has, that technology, not only can it take pictures and send video uplinks, but he's also able to swipe through the blueprints of the ship and bring up exactly what he needs to manipulate the certain parts of the ship. If Amos hadn't come down to open that airlock to let him back in, he was about to... The screen changed to have himself open it from inside, which was pretty crazy. And then he like unplugged everything.
I like he called him Knuckle Dragger.
Yeah.
It's like, you gorilla, you dummy.
Well, I mean, Amos, it's like, we were talking about this before, it's like everybody has their own MO. It's kind of like, everybody works in a different way, but Amos is definitely a lot of brawn. I mean, definitely has brains, but I feel like it's mostly like he's very physical.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense.
He's got street smarts.
Yeah, he's not dumb.
No, none of them are dumb, absolutely not. They're just like, he's very physical.
He's gonna go fighting first.
I don't know if Alex is as physical. For example, Alex is more like behind the scenes kind of guy. But
Alex is like a scoundrel... BSer talker kind of guy,
he's
right?
A talker.
He's gonna sweet talk everybody.
Yeah,
situation.
Amos just like plays everything like survival. Like he was talking about, like we got to see last time, he's very street smart when it comes to social environments.
Yeah.
And this time, it's like a life or death situation. The way he knows how to deal with this is, I'm gonna wait at the airlock for the Mickeys to come in, and I'm gonna kill both of them.
Shoot them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But also willing to just risk his life, you know, when Holden comes up from behind him and is aiming at his head, and he's just like, okay, yeah, you have a clear shot to the back of my head, go for it, kind of thing. He's so, like, determined and so straight, like, you know, and very, very strong, because I don't know how many people would do that. But he's definitely, like, for the cause. He's like, look, kind of, like, true to how he feels, I would feel like.
Yeah. I liked how he said, you do what you gotta do, boss.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Shoot me if you gotta shoot me, but I know what I gotta do.
Yeah, but exactly. He won't deviate from course. Yeah. And I found it so funny that, like, afterward, Holden was like, whatever you have to do to get him back on your leash, and Naomi's like, he's not my dog or whatever, but there's that dynamic between them. Yeah.
And,
but then when he walks in and she looks up and is like, oh yes, I do need to take care of him.
Yeah.
Like they look up all secretly, like...
I like how Naomi is doing her thing too, because she's an engineer. She's very smart, and she does the workaround to get inside that operations kit.
And the spy's like, "You're not gonna be able to do it." She's like, "I already got it covered."
Yeah, exactly. So she shut down the power supply to it and the backup generator so that they could just straight up open it. Then we get Alex who opens it up, and that's where we get the code words, right? So he thought.
Well, we need to go back and say the importance of that too.
Yes. So originally, the first code word he heard when he was doing Martian transport was donkey balls.
Yeah, that's the one thing that was at the end of every message that they would send out to kind of stop this boarding situation.
Yes.
Right, and that's how
that means we're Black Ops, don't touch.
Black Ops, donkey balls.
It was just so funny though. He just kind of randomly was like donkey balls, and it's like, what?
Amos is like, did you just say donkey balls? He's like, no, really, guys, this is the thing. He's so excited. He's
I wonder how many takes they had to do for them to have straight faces when he said donkey.
Don't laugh.
I don't know. I feel like probably Cass would have been the first one to laugh too, because he would have been like, oh my god, like what am I saying?
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Or they got the script and they're like
this is interesting.
Really?
Donkey
This is
balls.
interesting.
So when they actually do open up the operations kit and they break the tube that contains the codes, it is the most obscure... is it a reference to something? But these are the most obscure words that you can come up with in the English language. Ubiquitous, mendacious, polyglottal.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he's like debating, do I say this in a sentence or do I just say them? This is
kinda
like
works,
spelling bee,
though.
like, how do I use it in a sentence? Okay, I will. But no, he totally weaved
Yeah.
it into a sentence and then...
He's like, and a
Donkey
little bit
balls.
of donkey balls, or
Yeah.
more, and then it looks a lot like, or something that he says, but he manages
And
to
they're
just
like,
make it work.
wait. And he's like, hold on.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Okay,
okay,
got it.
you've been cleared, thank you. And it's like, I was really tense during those moments.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, are they
this
actually
gonna
gonna,
really
is this gonna
work?
happen? Is this
Yeah.
gonna work? Or is it gonna be some sort of other, ploy to mess everything up? But no, it totally went through.
Yes.
Polyglottal.
Polyglottal. So like a total dictionary nerd, I looked up what each of the words mean. And I already knew what ubiquitous meant. It means it's found everywhere, like germs and air here on Earth. They're ubiquitous. Mendacious is actually having to do with lying. And then polyglottal is written in many languages. So we got lies everywhere in many languages.
It's very appropriate for the show.
Yeah.
It totally, yeah.
We don't know what's going on. Everybody is like, pretty much everybody that we have, all the main characters are all in the dark, and there's just all these, like, this cloak and dagger stuff going on behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody has like their own agenda, and it's so hard to figure out like who's where and who's what. And I'm like, I don't know. Fred Johnson's nice. I'm sure he's nice, but I'm saying if he's good or bad. And then like Avasarala as well. She has her own little agenda when she goes over to Montana. It's like everybody has their own thing going on, and I'm like, guys, when is it all gonna come together in peace?
Yes, and I feel like it's gonna come
Not for a
together.
long time.
Probably not in peace, but
Yeah,
it's gonna
no.
come together at least partly next episode.
Yes.
Right, so we'll talk more about that with our predictions. But I want to break it up with a special segment, and we're going to be talking about 5 things you didn't know about The Expanse.
Okay.
So, did you guys know Paj's arm in the show, he actually gets it cut off, and then right away he's in the infirmary, right? It looks like it's happened within a matter of hours, maybe,
Yeah.
okay? Or within 30 minutes, to save him so he's not bleeding out in space. Actually, in the book, he's getting it treated, and it happened the previous month.
Wow.
Ew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sit that long with it?
No, and here's the follow-up to that.
Yeah.
Shed, like the cool doctor he is, or medic he is in the book, he's actually using a homeopathic remedy to keep cleaning it over the past month, and he's putting maggots in his skin.
Oh, yeah,
and he's
we've
having
all-
them. Yeah,
Seen
We've
that
all
enough
done
in
that.
movies?
No.
all of us.
I was like, well, we've all done that.
Every time I get a scratch.
We're on that covered California health plan. We use maggots in our wounds.
But why so long? Because they didn't have a replacement available or couldn't afford it?
Exactly, because
Okay.
once they're supposed to get back to the belt, he wanted to get that bionic arm that he was
Yes,
talking
okay.
about.
Right.
He didn't want to regrow it or have some biogel from Earth. He wanted to actually get the belter, sturdy bio arm,
Yeah.
biomechanical
He wanted to be a
arm.
cyborg.
He wanted to be a cyborg, pretty much.
I would have gotten that Martian gel stuff. That would have worked for me. I would have been like, give me my arm back. Come on, like,
Yeah,
I
ditto.
am
I'll take
no,
my arm
and no
back.
funny business. Like,
Yeah.
please.
So that was the second thing, the maggots. Number
Yes.
3 is in the belt, Uranus. Yes, I'm not going to say the other word.
You mean Uranus?
Yes, that one. I'm not going to say that one. Uranus has a population of 5,000 people living on it, which is the farthest the farthest human colony in our solar system.
Ooh.
Yes. And number 4 thing is Holden is already an XO.
Oh, okay.
So we had him in the first episode having a struggle whether or not to
Right.
pick up the
Yes.
XO title.
Yeah.
Right? But he is already an XO
Okay.
in the book.
I wonder why they would have chosen to do that. Maybe just to add a little more color to him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, to change his character up a little bit, I think,
Yeah.
because it doesn't show that he has an internal struggle anywhere in the book. It's just that the only thing it shows is that he has a relationship with Aid, and that's about it. Really,
Okay.
really.
All right. Well, then I like the choice that they made in the show. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it just mimics a lot of the other struggles that we see. Because he's constantly battling back and forth between like what do we do and what the choices are and the decisions. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool that they set that up right away.
Yeah. So we have the air filters that last episode Miller batted down in Shadid's office. Her particular air filter had coffee and cinnamon scent, according to the book. And Havelock had the smell of baking bread in his hole. And lastly, we had, I think it was some kind of like, gosh, I want to say it was like, I didn't write this one down, but it was Miller's wife, his ex-wife. I think her name was Candace, and she had some, I want to say it was like a detergent smell.
Okay.
It's something, I can't exactly say what it was, but it reminded him of the lower levels of Ceres for some reason. Like maybe it wasn't the best scent and he hated it.
I kind of like Havelock's baked bread or baking bread. That's pretty good.
That sounds like a
Maybe
good
we can
smell.
make it cupcakes.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
I feel cupcakes and baking bread, though, are different smells, but both good.
Oh no, yeah. I
Oh,
feel
okay.
like I would like the sweeter one, but yeah, they are different smells. I'm like, it's just like cupcakes.
He must have not liked the coffee because the way he batted, even though he was drinking coffee to stay sober, he was like, he batted that thing so badly when he left Shadid's office.
The smell of fresh coffee, though.
It is good. It can be good. And mixed with cinnamon must be even better.
No.
Right?
No,
No?
I'm kidding.
No? Maybe.
Maybe for Shadid, definitely.
Let's talk about Christian Avasarala in the last few minutes of our show.
Oh, I loved her outfit.
Oh,
and on the
man.
snow, that was gorgeous.
What a contrast.
Such a nice
Beautiful.
contrast.
Beautiful.
I mean, it almost like paints exactly what she's going there to do. It's kind of this peaceful land. Nothing's really happening. Very, very just out there. And then because she's in red, it's almost like she's carving this kind of like path, and not to like destruction, but she's really there to kind of shake things up. And I was like, very, very nicely
She's
done.
a fire.
Yes, she's there to start a
Burning,
fire.
of course.
She doesn't fit in with that culture at
No.
all. Even though she's an Earther, even within Earth, there's still a lot of conflict.
She's pretty much like one of the highest ranks on Earth, though. It's just somebody. She's very different.
The elite.
Yeah, she's the
Yes.
elite for
She
sure.
is.
She has so much power. That's what I was thinking when I'm like watching her walk and like, do not come even close, otherwise I'll make sure that you're on basic assistance by the end of the month. I'm like, this woman has so much power, and I think we like don't really see. We've seen like glimpses of it, and we can get it, but I think there's gonna be something coming up that will just like knock us off our socks.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we meet Elise, who is James Holden's mother.
Yes.
Right? We get a lot about her and him. So there's a co-op of 8 couples, is it? Or 8 people, I think.
Yeah, it's 8 people.
So it's 4 couples, it sounds like. And
They get into it, but not terribly so, except for her line that I carried the child.
yeah. So I felt that was kind of interesting because it seemed a little ambiguous, and this is what I got from it. I feel like the 8 people genetically mixed their DNA together to make James Holden.
So they say that, I think Holden says this when he's talking to Lopez in like the 3rd episode, I think, and he says that he is like a genetic mixture of 8 people.
Wow. That's
Because
so
they
cool.
say that's to keep the land. So
Yeah.
it is one of
Yes.
those like, well, since you are related to this, and this person, the land is yours. I think is
Yes.
the idea.
I think
why.
that was their plan. It was like
Yeah.
a generational something.
Yeah.
It might be like kind of like a Native American thing, you know how it's like, oh, if you're like this much, like 1/23rd or 1/24th or I don't know, whatever the number is.
Some sort of rights
Yeah.
because of your descent. Yeah.
Exactly. Then you get right. So maybe that's what it is in the future with Holden. Like if he was any more diluted, he wouldn't be able to get anything. But because they put all of their DNA in him, maybe he's able to get it now.
Could be.
It wouldn't go to nobody,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And that it's just weird because it seemed like such a desolate place, but at the same time it is winter, so everything's covered. They do have windmills there.
So it's
for
something about energy. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of energy, and it's probably all farmland, and it's like a farming kind of country culture feel to it, right?
And his
Yeah.
mom was tough. Man, she held her ground.
She's a strong
Ooh,
matriarch.
that lady fight was cool.
Yes, it
I mean,
was.
no fight, but
Yeah.
like
No, but it was.
Ooh,
I
tension.
loved that scene. I thought it was so powerful, and I also love how like you see Avasarala really kind of break down and share a little bit of what happened to her son,
Yes.
which I think gives her kind of like a little bit of a human side because she's very, very strong, very powerful, and I think like it's nice to balance her out a little bit and
Yeah.
to connect, and then also that's how you get the info.
Yes, exactly. I don't usually lead with that.
Yeah.
when she's about to get kicked out.
Yeah.
That's what got her back in the house.
Oh, she spoke to the other mom like, "Come on, she pulled the mom card."
Yeah, she's like, I know what that's like.
To lose a son.
Yeah. And I loved it because she's like, every day I'm hoping that somebody will tell me that, there's some chance that he's still alive. And I was like, that is so sad and wonderful. Wonderful the way it was great.
Yes. And it really goes back to more of her being human instead of, I just want revenge for my son's death.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just so nice to see this other side of her, which like you get glimpses of, but this was like a really big chunk of it.
And the whole reason she was visiting was to know Holden's story and to
his motives.
And his motives and to
that
understand.
Was really interesting.
Yeah, and to understand that he's not a terrorist, right? Raised by a faction in like the Holden family. Yeah. They're not. She described them as a cult of political extremists.
Yes.
Yes.
So she wanted to spin that if she left there with no answers.
Yeah.
But thankfully, she left there with a very satisfactory response from Elise. And she didn't want to do anything to Holden. Now she knows, okay, he's just someone who's caught up in the mix, and we're not gonna blacklist him or make him out to be a terrorist now.
Yeah, and he's got some mommy issues, but he's definitely not that person that we're looking for. Like, he's not that terrorist.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that she gained that insight. I don't know if she was expecting that, but I mean, it's nice that she got that.
But that phone call went bad because on the other line they're like, "Yeah, we don't care."
Yeah, he's done once
he's over. And you're like, "What?"
Yeah, that's interesting that you say the mommy issues thing because Aaron Wright, the other undersecretary for the UN, brings that up. And he's like, "Okay, but you know what? We're just gonna go ahead and get our Black Ops team together. We're gonna meet him at Eros, and we're going to take care of him."
Yeah, and I'm like...
That was a gun I put to my head for you iTunes listeners.
But yeah, it's kind of like, what? No need? Like, please?
Yeah. So now we don't know what's going to happen, except for we got to see the teaser a little bit. Spoiler alert.
Finally, Miller and Holden are going to meet each other.
Spoiler alert, guys. So Miller and Holden, they look like they're going to be meeting each other. And even Holden's like, "Who are you?" Right?
Well, that's what we were saying like an episode or two ago. It's like, they need to talk.
Finally.
Need to be like, this is my info, let's share info, because seriously, if we knew what the other knew, so much stuff would make more sense.
Because I think it's almost like they're on the same path. I feel like they're looking for the same person.
There you go. They're coming together.
Yeah, and it's just going to peak, and that'll be episode 8, so we're going to get to a good place to maybe end, the season and have a lot of questions answered and still some huge questions.
Well, they're renewed for season 2, I saw.
Exactly. So
that's big news.
But that'll leave us in a good place,
Syfy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
let's. Did you have any news and gossip?
Well, I do. I have a little bit of news and gossip.
Let's do news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so kind of exciting. Big shout out to Bill Johnson because I tweeted on Twitter that we were doing this, and he directed episode 7 and 8. So thank you so much for favoriting the tweet about our show. If you watched, thank you. And yeah, we loved it. So yay for Twitter reaching out to people out there that you probably wouldn't otherwise be able to talk to. So that made us very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed that.
So and then go check out his Twitter handle. Or go check him out on Twitter, because it was very funny reading his tweets too, and he talked about donkey balls as a phrase.
Donkey balls is a big thing on Twitter right now.
Hashtag
donkey balls.
Hashtag donkey balls.
So anyway, that was it. That was exciting.
But I wonder if hashtagging ubiquitous, mendacious, polyglottal would.
That's too many letters.
That literally takes up pretty
140 characters or less, man. That's way too much.
I know, that takes up the whole thing.
All right.
Let's go into our predictions.
I was going to say.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Kari, would you like to start?
Oh gosh. Well, somehow at Eros, the Holden and Miller finally gonna talk. Hopefully, it's just gonna be a standoff, and then they will finally say something where they go, "Wait, what?" And then they'll talk. Yeah, that's kind of it for now.
Okay.
I'm like, no.
I'm still standing by Lionel Polanski being Julie Mao, and
I agree with that.
I literally think it's like next episode we'll probably just see. Obviously, they're going to intersect their paths.
That's where they're going to connect, because then he'll say, "I'm looking for this person," and then they're going to be going, actually.
Yeah, and they're going to be going. I feel like it's like they're not really going to the same place, but they kind of, I think, will end up going there. And either Julie Mao is going to be the one that's on the Anubis one, which would be crazy, or I also had this every time I'm watching these episodes. I'm like, I feel like Julie Mao's dead. You know, I have this horrible feeling that she's no longer.
That'd be an interesting prediction.
So you could go either way with her, that she's dead or that she's on the Anubis
or that she's
one.
actually on the Anubis one that's docked in Eros. And I'm just like, but then every now and then when I was watching this episode, I'm like, I just have this horrible feeling that she's like dead and that their search is like completely futile. But that'll lead to something much bigger, like, you know, some interplanetary kind of like war, and, you know, the OPA is going to go super, super like hardcore, and then we're going to have like Fred Johnson against the OPA, and then Earth is going to come in. So
Fred Johnson is the OPA.
Well,
I mean, his faction.
No, like, you know how...
okay,
like
I got what you're saying,
The bad OPA, like the terrorist side versus like the...
Anderson Dawes versus
Fred
Johnson.
Which they're going to intersect at some point, because I remember last episode it was like there's some sort of history there. There's something going on. So I'm thinking that everything's just going to spiral down into this kind of like explosion of planetary, you know,
proportions.
War.
I would
Yes.
And then what about you?
Mine's really simple. I feel like Miller, not necessarily Holden, well, maybe they all will, but I feel like Miller is going to get on the Anubis 1A, and they're not going to show what he sees, or they're going to show like a very like quick shot of what's there, and we're going to be like, what? What is that? What's on there?
They're going to just show his face.
And that'll be the end of season 1.
Yeah. Well, is episode 8 going to be the end?
No, it'll be episode 10, yeah. But I mean,
that was a good one.
You know, it's like,
No, we got a few more.
Mid-season finale. 2 more episodes, 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
No. But I think that about does it for us here at AfterBuzz TV's The Expanse After Show. Be sure to check us out next week when we're actually going to be changing our time. We're going to be here an hour earlier, so we're going to be filming, we're going to be going live rather at 9:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because we're here in California. But you guys can follow us until then. You can follow me at Sean Austin O on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to check out my book, City of Angels and Discontent, on the iBookstore and on Amazon, and be sure to look out for it on a book blog tour.
Ooh, exciting. You can find me online at Kari D. Lane on Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook at Kari Lane Actor.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MGCVSST.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll buzz with you next week.
Woo! Thank you. See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.